So you want to learn how to make hard 50 Cent early 2000s type beats, well then you've come to the right place. Today I'm going to show you step by step exactly how you can make hard hitting beats for 50 Cent. I'm going to show you how you can make the melodies, the drums, how to mix it and arrange these beats. And by the end of the video, you'll also be able to make hard hitting beats for 50 Cent. So let's get into it. So for this beat, I'm at 100 BPM, and for the first sound I've gone for is this harpsichord from Repro 5. We're in the key of F sharp minor, and I've just played the F sharp minor chord on every bar, just because I wanted to get that dark feeling behind the melody. So it's literally just one chord all the way through. When you make dark stuff, you don't really want to make it too melodic by changing the chord too much. You want to keep it to one, maybe two chords at most. So all this is just a standard F sharp minor triad, and I've just layered the root note on the bottom just for a fatter sound. How to get a triad: you just place a note on the root note of the scale, or any note in the scale, and you skip a note in the scale, place a note, skip a note in the scale, place a note. That's how you get a standard triad chord. And because I've got a second harpsichord that I've layered this with in the mixer here, as you can see, I've panned it 15% to the left. So then I layered that first harpsichord with a second one. I've gone with the harpsichord W2 from Synology. And with this one I just copied and pasted the MIDI, but I pasted the triad chords up an octave compared to the first one. And then this harpsichord I've panned 15% to the right. And then for the main actual melodic part of the beat, I've gone with this AX shamisen from Synology, and this is the melody that I came up with. So it's a very simple melody. Again, when you're making dark melodies as well, you want to make use of these semitones like I have here. You want to keep the melody as close together as possible, again, just to not make it too melodic. In the second and fourth bars, I did go down in the scale a bit. That's just for more of like a call and response kind of melody, so it doesn't get too repetitive. But you can see most of the notes are here. The only notes that are out of this little range are these two in the second bar, so you just want to keep it as close together as possible to keep that dark vibe. Next thing I did was I added some bass sounds. The first one I got from Repro 1 called XS Basic Reese, and I just played the root notes of the chords. So I really like the movement of this one, but I layered the bass with another one. So with this Reese bass, as you can see, I cut out quite a bit of the sub information because I just wanted it as like, it just had some nice movement to it on the top end, and I've layered it with an actual bass. And the second bass I went with was this MG Tri bass from Triton, and this one I've kept all the low end in it and I've layered it with that first Reese bass. And in the second part of the hook, I've added a third harpsichord. This one again from Repro 5, this one's called Harp Seat in the Box. This one I've just got playing in the background. I've got it playing a very low note and a little flick of the minor triad, just for a bit more bounce in the main melody. And then with that same harpsichord sound, I went a bit crazier in the verses. I've kept the chords as they were, but I've added like a melody in between, and then at the end of every 4 bar, I added this harmonic minor chord just to resolve back to the standard triad chord. So this is what it sounds like. So as you can see with this melody also, I've got it playing very low, but I've also not got everything perfectly on grid. I've got some things quite far off grid. It just adds quite a bit of swing to the melody, so don't be scared to go off of the grid. It can sound bad, but if you just use your ear it can also sound very good, like in this case, just adds a bit of swing to the melody. So then altogether, this is what the melody sounds like. So now making a start on the drums, I first started with this standard clap, just went with a normal hip hop bounce for this one. I then added this rim in between the claps to get that hip hop bounce. I then added a very simple kick pattern. And I added 2 shakers, one playing right before the start of each clap, and another one filling in the empty spaces. Again, I'm playing it off grid just to get a bit more bounce. And then during the hooks, I've got an open hat playing before every second clap. I then found a couple of vocal samples and added them in as well with the drums to add, again, a bit more bounce. And then at the end I also found this drum loop which I added to layer with my drums as well, just to give even more heavy hitting drums to make it a proper dark, hard hitting beat. So I've got it turned down quite a bit because I just wanted to layer it with my drums, and altogether this is what the drums sound like. So in terms of mixing, I didn't do any mixing on the drums. You shouldn't necessarily have to do much mixing with the drums. If you get good quality drum kits, they're already pre-mixed, and what matters more is getting good sound selection from the start so that you don't have to mix it. But what I did do is I also got this instrument bus and linked all the instruments to it and just added a fruity compressor on it just to bring all the instruments close together. So then going into the arrangement now, I've got a short intro, and what I've got is I found a nice gospel kind of sample from Splice which I've got playing in the intro. So my idea was to have a nice sample like that in the intro, and then I've added tape stop onto the intro sample, and I've got it so that just before the drop it cuts out like this. And it just adds a crazy effect when it drops into the drums. So then for this intro where the sample cuts out, I've just got a riser and a couple of vocal chops just before the drop. So then for 16 bars, I've got everything pretty much playing for the hooks. I just took out that third harpsichord in the first 8 bars, but I've got everything else playing. And then in the verses, I've taken out the main melody and the re-space and I've added an 808 instead. I've got that slightly different harpsichord pattern here in the verses. I've chopped up that drum loop as well, just to make loads of space for an artist. I got rid of the second shaker and the open hat as well. And I threw in some scratch effects where I thought they'd fit. And then riser back into the hook again. So I've kept it very simple for this one. So honestly, that's it for the beat. We'll take a listen from the start and see what you think. So in the start, we've got that sample. Then we've got the tape stop and the effects before the drop. That drop is crazy. So we've got pretty much everything playing here. In the second half, we've got that third harpsichord. The drums are so simple, but the bounce is crazy. Then go into the verse, stripped it right back. We've got that unique harpsichord pattern as well for the verses. Getting rid of the 808 in the second half of the verse. Just got the harpsichord bass notes playing. Pitching that harpsichord up and down as well. Big cut in the drums, back into the hook. So yeah, if you learned something new, leave a like and subscribe. I'll catch you next week.